TIO, known by many names such as the Iniquitous One, the Entity, the Insolent, and Herald. The name Herald is a joke name for TIO that was popularized, but for the remainder of the video, I'll be calling him Herald because the AI voice is annoying when it says TIO. For today's video, I'll be theorizing and speculating about TIO's devious, malicious intentions in Piggy's story, and on how we could truly defeat him in Intercity. Before I start talking about his intentions, I will give you a short description of who TIO is. Herald is the third antagonist in Piggy's story, who is the leader of the Insolents, but before he became a monster. Herald used to be human in the past. He was the Prince of the South, and his life was sad and lonely as he was neglected by his parents and had no friends. Until he made a friend with a character known as the Friend from Beyond, better known as Mr. Stitchy. We can assume that Mr. Stitchy gave Herald some of his powers, which eventually turned Herald into something like Mr. Stitchy, resulting in terrible consequences for his kingdom and himself, transforming him into that charismatic and manipulative monster in the future. That's pretty much Herald's backstory in a nutshell. I missed a few things, but that's beside the point. Anyway, onto his first intention. Herald's first intention was to take over the entire world, which was crystal clear in Piggy's story. But how does he accomplish this goal? By extending his army. Herald has an army of various beings such as the distorted characters who accepted his tempting offers to rid themselves of pain and guilt. Most of the characters who accepted his deals were those who felt alone, desperate, afraid, guilty, or were infected. These distorted characters, like Penny, Marcus, or Coley, are some of the strongest in Herald's army due to their abilities. But we only know of one specific ability, teleportation. One more thing to note is that these characters always have black sludge on them alongside an eye of insolence, which means they are under TIO's control. Herald also controls the infected with orange pupils, such as Ellie, Alphys, and presumably more. Why does he have control over them? I believe it's connected to the meaning behind the orange pupil's personality, but we don't have an official answer to its meaning, though. Excluding what we learn about it in the temple. To aid his endeavor, he has the ability to create creatures made out of the same black sludge present on the distorted. This sludge has a decaying effect on the host, which is evident in Penny's appearance. Anyway, these insolence creatures that Herald can create serve specific purposes. For example, the Sentinels serve as Herald's guards in his kingdom. Blats serve as hulking beasts to take down people, but they require Scry's assistance. With Herald's army of distorted, infected with orange pupils, and insolence creatures, he is prepared to take over the world. I'd also like to mention that TIO's small army that appears in the hidden ending isn't his entire army, in my opinion. Herald's second intention is to take revenge against Mr. Stitchy, as it's blatantly obvious that he wishes to punish Mr. Stitchy for what he has done to him. Mr. Stitchy took everything from TIO. Mr. Stitchy caused his kingdom to fall due to the famine that ensued after his departure, leading to the deaths of his people and his neglectful parents. But before Mr. Stitchy's departure, he took Herald's life. We can assume Herald was burned to death, or my personal belief, he was encased within a purple crystal that appears in the mansion. Either way, what Mr. Stitchy did turned Herald into a monster, and Herald seeks revenge for it. How does he plan to take revenge against Mr. Stitchy? First, by finding Mr. Stitchy. Herald is likely unaware of Mr. Stitchy's return to the world, as he would have at least mentioned sensing his presence in one of the endings where Herald appears. Lastly, by taking Mr. Stitchy's right eye to make himself stronger while rendering Mr. Stitchy powerless. It's my personal belief that Mr. Stitchy gave TIO his left insolence eye to help him understand and feel the insolence. This would explain how Herald became more like Mr. Stitchy in Piggy's story. This is more based on my speculation, but I will provide some evidence to why I believe Herald's third intention is that he wishes to acquire a physical form. As far as we are aware, TIO lacks a physical form and only exists within a realm that some have dubbed the Mindscape. Before someone in the comments section says, but we see TIO in the real world in Savior Tigre ending, which means he does have a physical form. I beg to differ. The TIO we see in that ending is noticeably smaller than the TIO we see in the Distraction and Savior route of the Temple ending. This means that the TIO we see outside his mindscape is just a hallucination conjured by the real TIO. How does he plan to acquire a physical form, and who does he want to possess? Remember when I talked about the distorted? They were given insolence powers, and their bodies have black sludge, which decays them when they accept his offers. This might be part of Harold's plan to obtain a physical form, by giving characters these abilities to test who can withstand the insolence without completely decaying. For example, Penny shows decay, especially in her arm where her bones are exposed. This might mean Harold gave her more power than the others, as she is one of the first subjects of infection. And this could also explain what the friend actually is. The friend isn't a flawed recreation of Mr. Stitchy or a creature intentionally made by TIO. I plan to make a theory video about this, which will be a remake of an old and poorly done theory I made in the past. Who does TIO need to possess to obtain a physical form? Well, it's obvious. He needs to possess the detective, a character who I believe was given immunity to infection by Mr. Stitchy. In my opinion, he may have accomplished this goal in the hidden ending, managing to possess the detective after his defeat in that ending. This is evident in the post-credits of the hidden ending, which show the detective alongside their friends inside Kona's home, and a certain character reappears, Dizzy, who is now uninfected. However, everything in the post-credits appears to be fabricated, as indicated by the distorted window that appears when the camera zooms out, and because of Zizzy's presence. We know that Zizzy was taken away in distraction by a mysterious black figure, which we assume is Mr. Stitchy, though there are some doubts about this belief. So how could the crew have found Zizzy if she was taken away by that entity? Okay, so who is this fabricated reality meant for? Well, I believe it was created for the detective, as it makes more sense for it to be for them than for any other character. Now, how will we truly defeat TIO in Intercity? I believe there's only one possible way for us to truly defeat TIO, by gaining the assistance of Mr. Stitchy to help us defeat him, while we help Mr. Stitchy tie up loose ends, and get his insolence eye back from TIO. Once we defeat TIO, Mr. Stitchy will return back to his realm alongside the distorted characters, who are too far gone to be cured or cleansed from TIO's corruption. Before someone says we defeated TIO in hidden ending so he can't appear in Intercity. Well, you're incorrect. By using the aforementioned evidence I provided in the video, the post-credits of the hidden ending disprove that idea, as TIO is watching us, which means he's still around. Also, in Intercity, if you go to the school's sewer system, you can see an eye of insolence, which means the insolence and TIO are still around. Anyway, what do you guys think of my speculation on TIO's intentions within Piggy's story? Have a good day, and good night. Thanks for watching.